Good morning, Card Communities. RJ back with another video. So let's get to it. Today's random Mike Schmidt item of the day. Another thing I picked up from the LCS, the 1976 Philadelphia Phillies yearbook, the Star Spangled Season. Obviously, 76 was the bicentennial, and they were celebrating the Star Spangled All American life in Philly. Big time in Philadelphia. The bicentennial was. The All Star game was here that year. And this is their 76 yearbook, the bicentennial issue. Interesting thing, one of the rare times I can say this, but there are on the cover of this particular magazine three Hall of Fame players. Can you identify them? Now, I will give you two real quick. Obviously, that is Mike Schmidt right here. In fact, he's number 20 right there, so he made two pictures. That's why this is a Mike Schmidt collectible as far as I am concerned. And believe it or not, a lot of these, actually everybody on this cover has two pictures. Here's Carlton, the portrait in kind of like an action pose almost. Gary Maddox, our center fielder, there and there. Larry Boa, shortstop, there and there. Greg Luzinski, here. Dave Cash, second baseman at the time, there and there. Dick Allen, not yet a Hall of Famer, here and here. This guy right here, just signed by the Phillies for the 76 season, Jim Kaat, newer Hall of Famer. Here he is on the cover with two other Hall of Famers. So Jim Kaat was on the Phillies for the 76 season. In fact, he happened to be on the Phillies 76, 77, and 78 when we won three straight pennants. Might have been one of the reasons we did. We had Jim Kaat for those 3 years and those 3 years only before he moved on to greener pastures. Took us a couple more years to get back there and win a World Series. But it's another yearbook of mine. I'm trying to get every yearbook the Phillies ever produced. They started kicking out yearbooks in 43. I believe it was 43. So I got to go all the way back to then to get them all. 76 is one I didn't have. It was in for $5 at the LCS. Thrilled to pick that up. Today's random baseball item of the day. Sticking with that $5 baseball box thing, I got the 1982 Phillies Media Guide. This is not a Mike Schmidt collectible because he is not on the cover anywhere, even though this is a Phillies item. Again, we talked about the media guides on Wednesday's video. It's what you had before you had the internet, and you could look up on baseballreference.com anything you wanted to know. Or you could Google any question, and Google would tell you the answer to that question. So, 1982 media guide. I'm equally trying to get all the media guides that the Phillies ever produced. And I'm not even sure when the first media guide came out, but there you have it. So, today's trivia question, in keeping with the theme of the Phillies' opponents en route to the World Series. Today is Friday as you're viewing this video. Lord willing, the Phillies have already completed a sweep, 4 games against the Diamondbacks. I cannot promise that. Part of me wants to say I hope they didn't because we want to win it in front of our hometown fans. So we want to be back here on the weekend to win it. But I have here some Arizona Diamondbacks rookie cards from a couple years ago. The Jake McCarthy rookie card. This year's Tommy Henry, and last year's Gold Star parallel set again. So these are your Diamondbacks. I want to celebrate them as long as I can as they go down to defeat in this thing. So your trivia question today, still going off that, I will show off this thing right here. It was from the Mega Cards Club newsletter. And these are the 3 questions I gave, the 2 questions I gave previously. Here's number 3. Babe Ruth's called shot homer in the 1930 World Series followed a taunting episode with the Cubs, who had voted only a half share of series money to a former Yankee player then with the Cubs. Name that player. That's a really good story. I'm going to take a moment and talk about that story. People talk about that called shot, which you have to understand if you looked at what was going on. The Cubs went to the World Series for the National League in 1932. The Yankees, obviously, for the American League. And it had been widely reported to the Yankees that a certain player, and I shan't name it right here, former player on the Yankees, came over to the Cubs. And since he was only with the Cubs for a partial part of the season, Back then, back in the old days, it might still be the same today. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. Back in the pre-free agency era, the amount of money you took home for the World Series appearance was a significant amount. Many players would earn more for their share of the World Series money than they would for their season's salary. So getting to the World Series was a big deal back in the day. Now it's just it's pride. It's you want to say you're a World Series winner. It's a gold for every player just to get the ring and the recognition. I was on a World Series team. Back then, it was their livelihood. It really mattered back in the day. So to get voted a half share, and again, it was the players. They all got the pot of money. Like the team was got like whatever percentage of the receipts that the winning team got. They got to choose how to divide it. Okay, every player would get whatever their share was. Well, they voted only a half share to this former Yankee player. That's one of the reasons the Yankees were and the Cubs were really yelling at each other all throughout the series. And it got really heated that day in 32 when Babe Ruth was up at the plate. And if you look at the film, he's gesturing to the team. He's gesturing to the Cubs dugout as he's at bat. And after he hits it, as he's rounding second, and he's going between second and third, so he's going along that line, looking right into the Cubs dugout. And you could see him yelling at them, gesturing to them the whole time, all the way around the plate. He's mocking them and angry at them for dissing this former player. And you can see from the question, it is which former player did this incident surround? Which former Yankee player, who was now with the Cubs, brought out the ire of the Yankees and Babe Ruth on his called shot? So email me the correct answer. I will include my email in the description below, along with the repeat of that question. You will have today and tomorrow to answer, and we'll pick a winner on Sunday, all right? Good luck to everybody. So today what I want to show off, I think I'm going to start doing this for a little bit more. I am a big fan of baseball history, as you all know, if you watch my channel. I wanted to start talking about Hall of Famers more. It occurs to me that there's a lot of Hall of Famers that I take for granted because I will say this: there's a website out there. It's a quiz website. It has all kinds of different quizzes on every topic under the sun. It's called Sporkle. If you haven't heard about it, look it up. And there's billions of quizzes on this website for every topic. One of them obviously is sports. Under the sports, another category is just baseball, and you can sub it out any way you want. One of the quizzes in there is in 20 minutes. You've got 20 minutes to do this. Name every Hall of Famer. Now, it was every Hall of Famer who was in as a player, not necessarily executives, umpires, managers, and things like that. But name every Hall of Famer who is in as a player, and I believe at the moment there's like I don't know how many. It's like close to dang near 200 players. So you got 2 minutes to name all 200. And I do this with regularity. That's how nuts I am. I am a passionate student of the Hall of Fame. And it occurs to me that so many of the Hall of Famers, people don't even know who they are. This person was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And if I were to go up to somebody and say, do you know who this person is? They'd stare blankly back at me. Because unless you say Babe Ruth or Mickey Mantle, people just don't know who the heck you're talking about. I mean, I go up to some people and say, do you know Mike Schmidt? Some of them will, if you're outside of Philadelphia, someone will say, oh, didn't he play a sport once? Even that. So, but there's a whole lot of other category of people in the Hall of Fame that nobody has ever heard of. And I want to go over some of those in the upcoming videos, maybe every Friday. Today's one I'm picking is perhaps the most undeserved Hall of Famer ever. Now, a lot of people will look at some of the players. I mean, Harold Baines recently is somebody people jump on and complain about Harold Baines. I'm fine with the Harold Baines pick. Harold Baines was a beast as a hitter. If you look at his career stats, he was dang near 3,000 hits. He really was. He was a quality DH. Up there with Edgar Martinez, he was a quality DH. He really was. But this guy has no business being in the Hall of Fame. This is the one person who never should have been elected to the Hall of Fame. So this man is Executive Morgan Bulkley. Now I'm gonna pause here because I'm gonna put up some pictures and some information about Morgan Bulkley, but essentially, Morgan Bulkley is he was the president of Aetna Life Insurance, and he was associated with baseball briefly. He served 1 year, one as president of the National League. Never cared about baseball. He was the first president of the National League. Was never, ever interested. He just happened to be the first man chosen to be president of the National League. And once he was done, never came back again. He was never involved in the baseball. He might have owned a share of a team. He was never interested in the team, never paid attention to it, did not care a lick about baseball. He just happened to be a partial owner of a team or a league or something like that. And he happened to be the first president of the National League. And that's why in 1937, because he was the first president of the National League, they voted him into the Hall of Fame. This is the one player I will say does not deserve it. So I'm going to take a break here and pop up some information about Morgan Bulkley, give you some more stats about his life, and you'll see what I'm saying. So hang on a second. Morgan G. Bulkley was born the day after Christmas in 1837. The son of a wealthy New England family, he served in the Civil War and then joined his father when he got out of the war as a member of the Aetna Life Insurance Company, which his father founded. Eventually became president of that company. In New England, there were a lot of baseball teams, and Morgan was interested in the game, although did not play. In 1871, some of the more prominent teams across the nation formed the National Association of Professional Baseball Players. In 1874, Morgan and some of his backers decided to form a team in Hartford known as the Hartford Dark Blues, or sometimes known as simply the Blues, and joined the league. By 1876, the financial backers, realized that the players were too often jumping teams and there was chaos, so they took control and formed in 1876 the National League of Professional Baseball Clubs. Morgan was selected president through the draw of a hat, and in that inaugural year, his 1876 Blues had a banner season to take the championship. That 1876 team featured a few quality players, one of whom was Bob Ferguson, also known as Death to Flying Things because of his fantastic defense. Bob was a fairly good hitter and was player manager of that team. For you Phillies fans out there, he was also a member of the inaugural 1883 Philadelphia Phillies players. Another member of that 1876 championship team and a member of the Hall of Fame is an individual known as Candy Cummings. He is widely credited with inventing the curveball in the early days of baseball. Candy was still a good pitcher during these years, but he was quickly fading, and he's not really in the Hall of Fame for his pitching exploits, but more so for the invention of the curveball itself. Morgan's main involvement with the Blues ended after the 1876 season. He gave up ownership or his share of the teams to concentrate more on his business and political aspirations, and he gave up his position as league president. He eventually served a term as mayor of Hartford, time as governor of Connecticut, and U.S. senator from the state of Connecticut. Morgan's last contribution to the world of baseball came with his participation as a member of the Mills Commission, which in 1905 was tasked with determining the true origins of the game of baseball, upon which developed the Doubleday myth and the fact that Abner Doubleday invented baseball on a sunny afternoon in Cooperstown, New York when he was a child, which is completely false, and we all know that. In 1937, the second year of Hall of Fame voting, Morgan Bulkley was selected by a committee of veterans, baseball analysts, players, and so forth, as a member of the Hall of Fame, primarily based upon his participation as the first president of the National League and as well as his contributions through the Mills Commission. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you can see what I'm talking about. I love Morgan. I love everybody in the Hall of Fame. Morgan Bulkley's there. You know, you're not going to take him out. But the truth is, his life and times just did not warrant election to the Hall of Fame. Say what you want about all the other players. This is one individual who's in the Hall of Fame. You should know his name, Morgan Bulkley, and all the other things I just rattled off about him. But as a Hall of Fame member, he really doesn't belong. You know, it's like making John Heisman a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame because his trophy is a college award that everybody wants to get. Doesn't make sense to me. Um, I'm not slighting Morgan Bulkley as a man and what he did in business or politics or whatever. I'm not trying to diss his family or nothing like that. There's just no sense for him having been elected to the Hall of Fame. Please consider what I just said in the recap in the highlights there. Let me know what you think. Did you even know who Morgan Bulkley is? Now that you understand what he actually did for baseball versus what he did in the rest of his life, do you think he warrants inclusion in the Hall of Fame? Throw something down in the comments below, okay? And again, don't forget the trivia questions and prizes. Come back on Sunday for that. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, subscription, comment, whatever. I do appreciate that. And thanks for watching. Let's come back on Sunday for the trivia recap. I hope you had a great week. And go Phils. Take care.